Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. In today's video, I will be showing you my 2021 June completed coloring pages, and if that is of interest to you, please stay tuned. Okay, so I filmed that intro like at least 7 times because the first time I couldn't remember what I usually say. And then I was just stumbling over my words. I just ate lunch, so I guess a full belly means a muddled brain, but we're gonna deal. This video will be long, so you may want to get comfortable, perhaps put me in the background while you're coloring or journaling or just, whatever it is you're doing. But yeah, it's gonna be a long one. Now, I'm not gonna show you my whips, and there's actually quite a few of them, but I will be showing you this one in just a minute. I don't track numbers, so it doesn't matter to me how many pages I get done. For me, coloring is a way to help me deal with anxiousness and anxiety. It helps me distress. It helps me be creative, but it also helps me turn off my brain. So there is no point for me to see how many pages I've colored in how many books. If I get 2 pages done or 20, great. So long as I had fun and it's helping me with those things I needed to help with, fantastic. However, I think sometime later today or this weekend, it is currently Saturday, July 3rd, I will start filming my coloring book collection videos, and I will be breaking them up. I do have quite a bit. I do love talking about coloring books, but I have no one else in real life to talk to them with. So I thought, well, I'll talk a little story with you guys and break them up in a very specific way, just because I seem to have a certain preference of coloring books. Now, the reason I mentioned the numbers and the whatnot, and I did talk about that in my May completed pages video, is in that video, I will be counting how many books I have, how many pages are in each book, and how many completed pages or whips that I have. And I like that for 2 reasons. One, Danny did that in her collection video, I believe in the beginning of the year. And I love the statistical aspect of it. So instead of me, chasing a goal of a certain amount of pages, maybe in 6-month increments, because I actually truly started this passion or rediscovered it in January 2021. Again, it's July 2021. So every 6 months, just seeing, all right, what's in my arsenal? What's still in my arsenal? What have I finished? And what's the numbers of finished pages, whips to potential pages? And I like that aspect. So monthly, I do what I want. And then every 6 months, check in. Hey, so what have you done? Because I feel that my creative hobbies help me feel that need of wanting to be productive, but not feel like I'm working. Because I think for me, sometimes I kind of mix those two up, that I have to be working towards a tangible monetary goal when really I just want to feel like I'm utilizing my time that best suits whatever my needs are. And a lot of times these days, it is really the need to distress. Okay. I will have, if you're still here, I will put in the description box and the pinned comment when this actually starts, because again, when I sit down and film, I feel like I'm talking to just my buddy right across the way from me versus, having a video out in the interwebs and anyone can just stumble across it. I really am talking to my people, my coloring book, my community, all you guys, whether you're in the coloring book community or not. Hey, Colleen. All right, so this is the one whip that I'm going to show you for this month. This is a buddy color that I am doing with my girl Poet Spice, and the reason why I wanted to show you this is because you won't see it completed until the end of July, and I'm impatient and I want people to see this because not that it's stunning, but I am just so happy with it. So let me show you this one. Now it is a 2-page spread from Mythomorphia, Curvy Roseanne's. Rosanus, I'm not actually sure. And Poet Spice and I have this really interesting dynamic where we completely enable each other, which is fantastico. And then she'll get a new coloring book and I'll have the same. And she's like, oh, we should do this. And then I'll get one. I'm like, oh, we should do this. And so at any given time, we have between 3 and I swear to God, like 9 body colors going. And to me, I love that because it helps me focus. So usually when I'm corresponding with my buttercolors, hey Emma, hey Erica, hey Poet Spice, it's via Instagram, DM on Instagram. And so this is one of the pages she had chosen, or she had I had sent some pages and we decided on this one. Now, mind you, when I saw it, I knew I had the book, so of course I knew I had the picture, but I'm looking at a little picture like that on my phone. When I open this up, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't want to do this. This is what? That's so much work. And I was this tempted. I had actually started texting her via DM that, you know what, let's do something else. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to let a coloring book intimidate me or make me feel nervous or anxious. I mean, it's the antithesis of what I need this for. Luckily, I had just gotten my Derwent Inktense pencils. And so the background is done, or actually quite a bit of this is done in Derwent Inktense. And then I had seen a picture on Instagram, and I'll insert it here if I can find it, where that person, because this is supposed to be part of this, I'm assuming, but they had just colored it the same color as the ocean and then did some, I think that person had done some white inking, like white jelly roll. I'm like, that's fantastic. I don't actually have to focus on everything that's on the page. I don't know if you can see them, but the mermaids are done in that same effect. Really, this page for me was about the shark whale. Now, I still need to finish some shading. When I'm doing these pages, I generally like to stick with one medium because it's faster and I'm lazy. But for this one, I've done a layer of Inktense and then I did another layer. I've done some Tombow here. Some of these are mild liners. I have used some of this just to test it out. It's the Mythical Unicorn, and that's how I'm going to be doing all of the bubbles. I've done some shading with some Prismas. I've done some metallic gel pen. It's nearly done. There's just some shading and things, but I'm not gonna lie, I had started this a while ago, came back to it on Monday, June 28th. And then when I just started doing some of the outlining and some of the shading, every night after work, I'm like, ooh, I want to play some more in that Kirby book because I am just loving how this is. And this really opened my eyes because I know on like Eerie pages or Joanna Bassford pages or anything really, you can always add to the page to maybe make it more full, make it more complete. But this kind of takes away from the page. You still see the element. It looks like this is probably very far in the distance and sort of ghosty. And I love that. I absolutely love that. I believe her name is Debbie from Color Me Impressed. She had done a page. Sorry, I knew it was a Kirby Rosanus. It was actually World Within Worlds, where she had done this page, and it was absolutely beautiful. And she had done this, I think in watercolor or Inktense or something, maybe in Distress Inks. But then when she got to these surfer people, she blacked them out so they look like shadows. And I thought that is the most intriguing thing I've seen. Just because the artwork is there doesn't mean you have to color it in. The absence of color absolutely would work as well. And so between those two different techniques and then just having fun with my mediums, I am just loving this. There's so many things I want to do in here now because now I'm like, yeah, you can put all the things on the page. I don't care. I'm going to wash it out and then bring up the things that I think are the focus of it. I mean, wouldn't this 2-page spread here be intriguing if they were all done in shadows, dark grays, blacks, so that they recede as sort of these dark figures, but then you do all of this in like bright lights, and I think that just would be so stunning. Guys. So yeah, I love this page. I can't wait to finish it. And thank you, Poet Spice, for choosing a page that almost made me want to quit. I love it. All right, the next page I completed is in Mythographic Odyssey. I'm a little late with filming this. I actually like to film this towards the end of the month versus in the new one, but I was racing against the clock because Olga Rani's weekly challenge really made me want to finish that page to include with this month's video. And so the page I did in this one is this here. The challenge was to color something with pyramids, and she had specified it was Egyptian style pyramids. So I had done this Anubis here. It is mostly Ohuhus. I do have some Art 101 alcohol pens I've gotten from Walmart. I'm not the biggest fan, but I'll use them up, and then I don't think I'll ever repurchase them. There are a lot of times when I'm doing these pictures that there are aspects of it that I don't want to do, and that usually is the birds or the bugs, and so they are done very simply, and they're never going to be more done than that. Now, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I did put some glitter glue on here. The glitter glue I used is this Mondo Llama, and to be honest, I think for that, because it isn't as highly glittered as, let's say, a Stickles, I'd need to do multiple layers to get the same effect as a Stickles. But I don't want to buy more Stickles until I've used all of that up. And as you can see, there are so many different colors, and this used hardly any of it. So I'll just have to be mindful that it may take a couple of layers, and it may take several days because of that to get the effect that I want. Now, this is one of the few pages that I actually did some detailed layering. So I wanted to make this look like gold. I probably could have gone in with pencils, but these are books that I really want to help me de-stress. This will be the equivalent for some of when they do color by number or mandalas. Mythographic books, generally speaking, are my go-to when it comes to just mindless coloring, because I generally do just block out certain things and then go from there. And so I really liked how this came out, and I really wanted to include it with my June completed pages. And so this was done late Wednesday evening, June 30th, after I got home from work. And I love Olga's weekly challenge because this is not a picture I would have done or gravitated towards to begin with. So to be able to color my stuff, go out of my comfort zone, try new techniques, because not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure others could have made this pop even more, but I love how that looks. I love it. So thank you, Olga. And that's a page from Odyssey Mythographic. Oh, and that is done by Joseph Contenbong. The next page I finished was in Josh Lee's Fantasy Collection. This was a buddy color with my friend Poet Spice, and we did this one here. And this one looked pretty straightforward, and I guess because on the cover, it's only done in like 3 colors, or it's done in browns, black and white, and then grays with a little bit of yellow. But then when you start coloring the page, it is quite detailed. So in the beginning, I struggled with the skin. I knew I wanted the owl brown. There are just certain things that I just automatically think of certain colors. Owls are brown, trees are brown, leaves are green, flowers are pink, yellow, or purple. When, I mean, they don't have to be, and they not always are, but that's just immediately what my response is. So I knew that I also wanted her hair to be brown to make it just kind of seamless. I did try my hand at some hair. I'm not the best at hair, and I think it's because I am very impatient, and I also don't have a great technique. So I just base in a very light color and then start adding colors on top. I'm never really sure where the light's hitting, so the light apparently is hitting everywhere, but not that guy. I don't know, but I love how this looks, and I love how colorful it is. There is a little bit of stickles right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. but everything else is done in alcohol markers. And I write it down. So I've got alcohol markers, glitter glue, stickles. Oh, and there's a few Amazon Basics in here. Although I couldn't tell you, but I wrote it down, so it must be true. And again, this was a buddy color with my girl Poet Spice, and this was Josh Lee's Fantasy Collection. The next page I did was in this big little world, and guys, I'm not sure how I feel about this coloring book. I loved the images. The paper, seriously, I thought it felt a little thicker than copier paper, but I think it might actually be a little thinner. So, and I will need to play around a little more with this because I used my Magnus pencil here to do the background and washed it out. And it buckled a lot. And I'm okay with the buckling. That's not a problem, but it doesn't seem to like to take medium. Then I used some Tombos to kind of base the green, and then I went in with some pencils. And so I've used the Magnus Albrecht Dürer pencil. I used Tombow, Amazon Basics, and some Prismas. The Amazon Basics, the paper hates it, so I'm not going to use that in here. Oh, to be fair, I should just get rid of my Amazon Basics or give them away because I don't like them at all. And then the house is done in Prisma. I actually like when the white of the page is peeking through. I don't feel the need to burnish. And then this is done in Tombow. I left the grass white on purpose because one, I was done, but two, I actually liked the effect because I had done this first. I'm like, oh, I kind of like how that looks. So I'll have to see how I feel about this paper, if there's a different medium, because again, I do like the images. But if the paper is going to be difficult, then I probably won't continue to color in this. And I'm not the kind of person that scans onto better paper because I don't have access to any of that. So yeah, that's Big Little World Adult Coloring Book by Radu Frazy. This here is a girl's coloring book, and I didn't write it down, but I'll put it on the screen because I had to research it for Olga's June monthly color along. Yeah, June monthly, because the hashtag or the challenge there was performance, and I did this picture here. And so this is done in Black Widow skins. Actually, the majority of this is done in Black Widow, the light and the dark set that they have. I don't know how I feel about those pencils. And then the background is done in Distress inks. And I was using a piece of paper to sort of block her out because I didn't want any of the ink going on her because I did it after the fact. I don't know that I would necessarily do it in that order again. And it got this line right here. You can see some of the lines right there. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to take that out. And so I put the pink on because I knew I was going to do yellow and pink. And I actually kind of like how it looks like it's a spotlight on her. It was absolutely a mistake. That was not the intention. But then I really like, oh, no, yeah, no, I meant to do that. No, yeah. I meant to do that. And then I love using the Distress inks and then flicking some water on there and then immediately dabbing them up to get that sort of bokeh effect with very minimal effort. That's all I'm about these days. How can I get the maximum impact with minimal effort? But this was for Olga Rani's June 2021 monthly color along under performance. And I actually have quite a few that I did for that challenge. And that was a girl's coloring book, and I did order this from Amazon Japan. The next page I did was Mythographic Dream Garden from Fabiana Atanasio. This was also another buddy color with my girl Poet Spice, and we did this one. You definitely need to go ahead and check out her Instagram. I don't know as of the filming of this video that she's done her completed pages video, but when she does, you can check it out there as well. And we went in a completely different direction. My whole intention for this particular page was I generally default, like I said earlier, to certain things being certain colors. So usually I would have colored all of the leaves in tones of green, all of the flowers in tones in pinks and purples. And I'm like, no, we're going to go not necessarily opposite day, but we're going to definitely go out of my comfort zone. So I did all of the leaves and the florals and everything first, and then from there that sort of dictated the rest of the palette, because I loved how the green popped. It was also the green of this rain right here. This is one of those cases where the birds they could have left them out and I would have been totally happy with that. There are certain elements that I just don't acknowledge exist. And I really love how vibrant this is. And I love that the colors are not what you would typically use for something like this. A lot of the pictures that I've seen have been really soft and ethereal. And this looks like, you know, it's raining lime jello. And I'm absolutely here for that. Now I did make a mistake because I thought the umbrella came down here because it's really hard to see in here. And then I realized the umbrella line went like that, which makes sense. And so I'm leaving it because I don't actually know how to take that out. But yeah, I really enjoyed this page, and I love that it's just absolutely out of my comfort zone. And I like the yellow. That's done in Distress Inks. So this was Dream Garden by Mythographic, and that was done by Fabiana Atanasio. The next one I did was in Mythographic Imagine, and this, I want to say, yeah, it was also a buddy color with Poet Spice. Like I said, we have a lot of ongoing buddy colors. And this was twofold. One, it was a buddy color with Poet Spice, but this also went towards Olga's hashtag of performance for her June monthly color along. And again, I really enjoyed how this came out. I did the background first, and so I used some pale tones, and then I brought in some of the, it's like a sort of an electric blue color, and I wanted to wash it out. It was one of the first pages that I was testing it, and I didn't really know how to use it. And it looks like thumbprints because I had started up here and I'm like, oh, I don't like how that looks. So let's just keep doing it just so it's a consistent. I may not like it, but at least it looks intentional. But I think it looks interesting now. And then I went in with greens, and this is one of those pages where you can really tell that I didn't have a plan. I did her hair before I did anything else, and I'm like, well, so do I kind of want to lean into those tones? If I wanted the hair to be more of a focus, which initially I did, then this should have been done in maybe browns or some kind of contrasting color. But with all of the greens going on down here, that sort of just fades, but then it also looks like she's just this, you know, earth goddess. She's playing music for all of these different birds, which again, could have been left off the page and I would have been perfectly happy with it. Poet Spice's picture is absolutely amazing. That woman is super talented. I saw Imogen, the Coloring Kids picture in her completed pages, and she really focused. Well, she focuses in the entire page. A lot of times when I'm doing these pages, there are certain aspects that are the focus and then everything else is like a meh. Well, when she did these violins or cellos or whatever these things are supposed to be, they actually look like Stradivari's. They're just so beautiful. And I'm not comparing my work to her because we just have different styles. But to me, it was all about her, and this just is fluff. But I really like it. I like the different color tones on here. I don't know that it necessarily matches, but to me, it's just visually interesting. So this is a buddy color with Poet Spice, as well as a prompt that Olga was doing for her monthly color along out of Mythographic Imagine. This is another one that I did, I believe, for Olga's challenge, which was this one right here. This is Lulu Mayo's A Million Cute Animals. And this was for the monthly June color long performance. I did this in Distress Ink, Inktense. I think I'd actually done a wash of Inktense. The Distress Ink is on the background, and then Amazon Basic. And again, it's one of those earlier pictures where I wasn't really sure how to use either the Distress Ink or the Distress Ink or the Inktense, and the Amazon Basics just happened to be on my desk. I would have actually preferred to use a different pencil, but overall I think it looks really sweet, and so I'm happy with it. And again, it may not have been a picture that I would have necessarily gravitated towards, but Olga's weekly and monthly prompts, challenges, and then doing the buddy colors really takes me out of maybe not necessarily my comfort zone, but really helps me focus on pages to do and to do things I might not have tried initially. So that's that page from A Million Cute Animals by Lulu Mayo. Now this is actually a book that I keep at work, and I forgot to bring it home for May. So this is actually a May completed pages. This was A Million Unicorns by Lulu Mayo, and the picture I did was this. Now I generally like to write when I start, when I finish, and the tools I use, but I didn't think that there was any place to put it on here, hence the post-it. But I did this at work with Kuretake brush pens, some Prismacolors, Crayolas, and Arteza. I do have a large pencil case at work of the pencils I used to have here at home, and then I just use that. I color during my lunch break or if I get to work early. This was done in mild liners, and then I did base in various wet markers. So I have some mild liners, I actually have a few Tombos, the Kuretakes, and then I did a bit of shading with some pencils. And I like how this looks, not gonna lie. I like how vivid the moon looks. And really that's just two different tones of yellow mild liner that I have. I'm not into a lot of detail shading, but if I can get the effect that I want quickly, well, even better. So I'm going to leave that there. And that was A Million Unicorns by Lulu Mayo. This is the other book that I have at work, Mythographic Frozen Fantasies by Fabiana Attanasio. And these again are 2 pages that I had finished in May, but I didn't show them. And so it was this one here. This one I chose, and it's the only one that I believe I've done, from Danny Button's Summer Scavenger Hunt. And again, it's one of those pictures I probably never would have colored. But because of the scavenger hunt, I wanted to do at least one of them. And so I did all of this in the Target alcohol markers from the Mondo Llama brand. And then I did the outside border just because it was a bit messy in a blue Sharpie. And so this was completed in May. And then this one I also completed in May. And this is done in... I know it's done in Mondo Llama because that's the only alcohol markers I have at work, but it looks like there also is some pencil shading. I actually didn't do any writing on here. But if there is pencil shading, and again, for this guy specifically, there looks like there's some pencil in there. It would have either been Arteza, Crayola, or some Prismacolors because that's what I have at work. But yeah, that's the 2 pictures that I finished in here, Mythographic Frozen Fantasies. And so I'll need to take these back to work. Oh, I am working on a page in here. Yeah. So this is another example of I'm making things recede in the page so that other things can pop out, because I want her to be like all reds and oranges. This is going to go for my hashtag, Joanna Lynn Celebration 2021. Now, it's not Joanna Lynn. It's not Johanna Basford. It's not Hannah Lynn. But to me, she's celebrating having fabulous nails. That's why she's like, yes, look it. And so it counts towards that hashtag because it's just anything celebratory. Now, I generally wear red nails because those are my favorite. I did try these out. I brought these for my mom, and I like them. I did pick up some similar colors from Walgreens last night, so I'll probably continue with this, but my go-to generally is red nails, and so her go-to is going to be red nails. But I'm doing this at work, and I'm just, even at lunchtime, I'm like, ooh, I want to color my mythographic because I'm just having so much fun with how this looks. The next page in here is from Wondrous Woman by Sassy Coloring, Saska Cook. Now there are 2 channels on here. Sassy Coloring with a U has a channel, and then Sassy Coloring from I don't want to say from America. I think Canadians spell it that way as well. But their Sassy Coloring without a U also has a channel. I'll link anyone who has a channel in the description box below. But I did this page for Olga Rani's June color along for performance. Now this back, the spotlight here is done in mild liner, and then I didn't like how that looked because the tones were different and I don't test anything, and so it does have some gold gel pen over it, and I think it looks better. I wanted her to be the focus, and so this is all blacked out there. And then she's wearing jeans. Jeans are always blue. I don't like the acid wash, although it looks a little acid wash there. I still have streaks, but that's okay. I'm cool with that. This sort of chartreuse color has been one of my faves this month, not gonna lie. And then when I got to the floor, I'm like, I am so over this picture, like seriously. And so I tried to make it look like it's the lights, and then the floor is generally blue. Looks like there might be some Mountain Dew on the floor. I don't know what's going on, but she's singing. She's you know, performing for the audience. They should be looking at her and not the floor. And that's how we're going to say that. So this is done in Ohuhu Art 101, which is another alcohol marker. Like I said, there is some Amazon Basics and then some Jelly Roll Metallic. And this was done for Olga Rani's Performance Challenge for June 2021. Okay, this is a page from Coloring Heaven Collection Annual 2019. I actually chose this because, one, it was the very first picture that I completed in here, but also because this goes towards Poet Spice's hashtag Steampunk Summer Spice 2021. We're in June and July. Anything steampunk related, either by way of coloring or crafting, would count towards that hashtag. Now, I don't do a lot on Instagram, so I'm only ever going to feature them in my completed pages video, but I love how she looks. I knew that I wanted her uniform to be orange and green. Don't know why, but because she was an orange and green, I went out of my comfort zone and did blue hair. It was a bit flat, so I, instead of trying to shade it darker to make this the highlight, I just added some blue metallic gel pen. And then I love the pigment of her skin. I think she just pops. And then this is just two very similar tones of like this peachy salmon color, and I like that there is defined areas, but she truly is the focus of this page, and I just love that. I think she's so pretty. And so that's what I've done in this one, Coloring Heaven Annual 2019. And then I did two in this one, Steampunk Special, also by Coloring Heaven. And the first one I did was this right here. Now, I'd already started this when Olga had done one of her weekly prompts, which was Kid. Yeah, it was Kid. I didn't write that down, and I'll need to do that. And so I made sure to finish it within the week of her challenge so that it would actually count. And he was actually very pristine. I did this all in Ohuhu Art 101s, some Jelly Roll Metallic, White Unicorn Acrylic, which is this one right here. And then I'm like, no, I want him to be more like Oliver, the story. And so I kind of scuffed him up with some distress ink, and I think he looks really good. Now I'll need to watch some videos on how to make the white pop. I do have some Posca pens, and then the only other white type of acrylic I have is this one right here. I think that looks a little muddy, but I mean, overall, I think the picture looks really good, and I think he looks really sweet. And as you can see, he's got green glitter eyes, and right now it looks quite flat if you're looking head on, but then when you kind of tilt the page and you see how they glow, he almost seems otherworldly, and I love that. And then I did another page in here, and to be honest, that's all I'm doing with it. I'm going to consider this done. Now, I certainly could come in and do some shading with her coat. I could do some shading with these Zeppelins, I think they're called. I certainly could color that in. No, she's done in blue. This was very reminiscent of the, what's it called? Shadow and Bone, the Netflix series. I wanted her hat to be white. I wanted those. So she's done mostly. But when I came back to this page, I'm like, no, I don't want to add anything more to this. So this is going to be a completed page. This one would go towards Poet Spice's Steampunk Summer Spice 2021 hashtag, and actually so with this because it's in a steampunk book, so they must all be steampunk. But that's the two that I completed from there. And actually I forgot to tell you, this is artwork by Matt and Dawn Davidson. Okay, so I think we're about halfway there. The way that I'm doing this is it's on my bookshelf. I pull it off, show you guys, pull it back. I've got them segmented so I know which books to feature. And so we're done with bookshelf number 1, and now we're going to bookshelf number 2. So I completed a page out of this, Luna by Maria Trolle. And I did this page right here. This one I did mark. This was for Olga Rani's weekly challenge, Kid. A lot of times I like to do multiple pages if I can for her weekly challenges because I find them so intriguing and so relaxing. And so this is the Find in Color weekly challenge for Kid, Olga Rani. Yeah, this is done in all Prismas, and I really like the black background pictures because then I don't have to worry about a background. And honestly, I don't always worry about backgrounds anyway, but this just makes it easier, and it definitely makes her pop. And usually, you know, I see girls, I think pink, I think red, I think like a light peachy color, and so I purposely put her in blue, and then the rest of the page sort of built out from there to see just how can they contrast but not take away from the girl right in the middle. Now I know in the back of the book you can see what these are and color them realistically. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm never going to do that because I'm just going to do what I want and just have a completed picture that may or may not be what the actual flower or nature thing looks like. But I really had fun with this, and that was out of Luna by Maria Trolle. The next one I did was out of Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Joanna Basford. And I believe this, yes, was also for a weekly challenge that Olga was doing, the Find in Color. And the prompt for that week was Lotus. And so I just did this one. It was very quick, very simple. And I did this on Prismas. And for this one, because I like the color combo and I might want to do that here, I actually wrote down the colors that I use for the Prismas just by way of the pencil number on the barrel. And so if I wanted these two pages to kind of marry with each other, then I would be able to utilize some of them. I could always add more, but at least I'd have a base of similar colors. I know there are people who are doing this where it's sort of thematic, so they're using like a color to tie in all the pages. I know that there are some who are doing this like it were a book, and so the entire thing will look similar. For me, more than likely, the pages that are facing each other will be very similar in color, but then from page to page, it can change up, and that just makes it interesting for me. And obviously I'm not doing this in any kind of order. I'm just picking pages that I want to color. But that was this one by Joanna Basford, Ivy, and the Inky Butterfly. Again, to promote my own hashtag I'm doing for July is anything done in Joanna Basford, anything done in a Hannah Lynn, anything done that is celebratory can count towards that hashtag. You can post it up on Instagram, or you can use it in your June completed pages. The next one I did was in Fairy Tales by Emily Lidhall Oberg. And as I talked in my haul video, I was actually on the fence about this book, but I really enjoyed it. And so I am going to look forward to doing some more in here. And for this page, I thought I would challenge myself to do a very limited palette. So for this entire page, it is done in Prisma, and there is 5 different shades of black, gray, and then I believe there's a white used in here. And I love how this looks. This was so much fun to me because I'm only dealing with the 5 pencils, so I don't have to make a lot of decisions, and yet I do, because all right, well, you only have 5 colors. How are you going to make this look different and dynamic and just interesting? Now, I don't do a lot of burnishing. I don't do a lot of shading. And so I'm pretty sure I could have taken this even further. But I like that it looks kind of old-fashioned. it's not necessarily a sepia tone, which is more brown, but it's in whatever the black version of that is, or the charcoal version of that is. And I really liked how that looked. And I liked that so much that I chose to write down the colors, because then I might have this sort of match that, or use completely contrasting colors but in the same method. So this could look really intriguing in like all reds. I don't know, but I have been leaning a lot towards doing just 5 pencils and then seeing what I can do with them. And then just based on when I wrote this was all done in one evening. I love this picture, guys. I love this book. I didn't think I would, but I think I love it even more than anticipated, is because I think this paper works really well with Prismas. The Erie books that I've been in, not so much. So it does help when the tools you like work in the books you enjoy. So that was Fairy Tales by Emily Lidhall Oberg. I finished a page in here, which is Forest Girls Coloring Book by Opal, and I finished this one here. And I do like to finish at least one page in one of the Opal coloring books that I have. I do have the first and the third. I do want to get the second. More than likely, I'm going to get that for myself for my birthday. July is my birthday. That's why I'm doing the hashtag. And the background is done in Derwent Inktense, and then she's done in pencil work. And there is some Black Widow here and some Crayola. Again, I'm not sure how I feel about both of those coloring pencils, but I mean, I think she looks okay. It's just the Crayolas are really difficult for me to work with because my hands hurt really quickly. And if you have to do a bunch of layering or pressing hard to get the pigment, well, that's a no bueno. The Black Widow, they seem both buttery and scratchy all at the same time. And again, I only have the light and the dark skin tone sets, and so maybe the other ones work better, but I don't know how I'm feeling about them. But I do like how she came out. It definitely looks more watercolor-y than this one does, but I love that it's a very similar effect. And I love working in this book with the various mediums. And the way that I like to do this is, since I worked in this first one for this month, then I'll work in this one, which is the third one, for next month. I haven't chosen my page yet, but I would probably choose something that looks like it's celebratory, just so that I can count it towards my own hashtag. I mean, I guess I should do some pictures that are for my own hashtag. And so something like this looks pretty simple and straightforward, and she could just be celebrating that it's a beautiful day. Again, the reason why I added the celebrations to the hashtag is because whether you have Joanna Basford or Hannah Lynn should be irrelevant. It should be just being able to color along with other people in the community in anything that you might have. So if you have a mandala book and you love pattern books, but they may not inherently scream celebratory, well, you could do it in traditional Christmas colors. You could do it in Halloween colors. You could do it in your favorite colors, and you're just celebrating your day. Whatever it is, I just wanted people to be able to color, and I wanted people to focus that it was my birthday month. Or it is my birthday month. But yeah, that is the Forest Girls Coloring Book by Opal. Okay, and then I did a picture here in Romantic Country, a fantasy coloring book. This is the first of the Romantic Countries by Erie. And the page I did was this one here. And this was done for Olga Rani's Grapes Weekly Find and Color Challenge. And it's funny because I colored this during the week that I was not feeling well. I actually had to call out sick for an entire week because I was having problems with my stomach. But I never actually sent this to her, which is fine. It's just, I'm like, oh, I finished this and another page, and yeah, I'm like, oh, she never even saw it. And I think this is, and I don't know if I did a tester page back here. No, I don't think I did. But this is actually only, I think there's only 5 colors on this page. Yeah, this is one of the ones I didn't write it down. But it's done in Brutfunners and Tombos. So maybe all the pencil, yeah, the pencil work is done in 5 different shades, and then all of the greens are done in Tombow. Pink and green is my favorite color combo, and I absolutely love how this page looks. This is one of those instances I did not feel a background was necessary because I really wanted to just focus on the colors that were on the page, and I am a bit particularly proud of how that vase came out because it does look like there is some texture to it. I love this. I love Erie. Erie is probably one of my favorite artists, and I love working in her various books. And you'll notice that in just a bit. But that's this one out of Romantic Country by Erie. This is Romantic Country, the second tale by Erie. This is the other picture I had done for that grapes challenge that I never actually sent to her. This is done all in Inktense. There's a little bit of Sharpie and Tombow, and that's really to reinforce the black on the page. The way that it was sort of a grayscale, and with all of my Inktense, it just sort of washed and faded that out. This to me is an outlier in her books because most of the pages are done in this very whimsical style. This to me is a stained glass page, but I love it, and it really reinforced, because I believe this is the very first picture I used them on, that I love the Derwent Inktense pencils. I've used them on a variety of pages and I have yet to sharpen. So they give you lots of pigment and lots of bold color, but they go a long way, and I love that. They're a bit pricey, but I think worth every penny. And so that's the page I completed here for Romantic Country, a second tale by Erie. So we have this one here, and this is a tracing book, and I believe this is Traveling Around the World by Erie. And by tracing book, what I mean is the artwork is done very faintly in like a green tone, and I like to actually come in here and trace the outline in one of my Pigmamicrons and then just color the page. Now this was done in Prismas, and the way I had done this was I had tested some colors. It's one of the few pages I had tested, but again, I knew I only wanted to use 5 colors. Now I actually went on Pinterest and looked up Thai color palette, and I had found this one, Thai Tea, and again it was on Pinterest, which was really interesting because this is actually a place. This is the Wat Pha Kiao Temple of the Emerald Buddha in Thailand, and if you look at pictures of this, it actually has that kind of Thai tea color, but it also has that teal color and some golds on the actual architecture. I just like, oh, that's serendipitous. Now I had chosen this page because this was going to go for Olga Rani's weekly prompt Lotus, again the second one I did, and I know lotus flowers are typically pink, but I was on a 5 pencil challenge, and so they are shades of green, and I actually did some layering, so it looks like there's more colors on the page than there actually are because of that. And I know that's the benefit of layering pencils. I would actually rather use multiple pencils to get that effect versus having layering to get that effect. But not gonna lie, if you are limiting yourself to a certain amount of pencils, that I think it looks really stunning. I chose to keep the background blank, one because I only had a limited number of tools that I was using, but also I think this really pops up, and I love that this is even left quite bare. I think the real things like this are actually all solid gold. This back here, there is some purple detailing work, but yeah, I didn't need to go for accurate, but I do love how the colors that I had chosen actually work towards that because it tells you where the different pictures are from. So I used the Google Translate on my phone, and then I looked this up, and then I looked up what it actually looks like. Now, I don't know that I'm going to do that for all the pictures. Like the one that's facing it, this here, this I'm probably going to do in blues and then just color in the fruits and vegetables and whatnot. But if it's a specific location, then I might do something similar where I try to capture what the picture actually looks like. But I love this. This is, I think, Travel Around the World, a tracing book by Erie. And the last one I did was World History, a tracing book by Erie. And I also did this for Olga's challenge. As you can see, a lot of the pictures that I completed this month was because of her weekly and monthly prompts, or was because of Poet Spice's hashtag. And so to me, because I have such a wide variety of pictures, I love being able to focus on something and, okay, I'm going to look through my books, this will cover that, and then do it. And it helps take that part of the decision-making process just out. And so I had done this one. The prompt was performance, so this was for the monthly color along, and this is also done in 5 different Prismacolor pencils, and then the Prismacolor blender. Because originally when I had seen this page and I had done the outlining, I thought, okay, he's going to be in blues and oranges and she's going to be in pink and purples. And I thought, wouldn't this be interesting if I only used 5 colors? And quite contrasting colors at that. And because of that, I'm able to get a variety of different tones on here. As you can see, that sort of lime green chartreuse color is coming back. And I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely love how this looks. I love the orange and the green together. That might be my new favorite color combo. And then you still get some differences between the two characters. You get some shading, you get some depth, you get some texture. And I love that. And I had fun with this. And between the mythographic, where it's just mindless use of alcohol colors and I can just do whatever I want, and then coming into these tracing books and doing the tracing, that is where I can just go a bit mindless. I don't need color by numbers or color by colors or mandala or pattern books. I know for a lot of people that's what they do. For me, it's something like this. And so I might come in and do all of the outlining just sporadically, because I find that just, it helps me feel productive without taking a lot of thought. And then I come in, I could do the 5 colors like I did in here, and more and more I'm leaning towards that because it takes all of the decision making out. I mean, I still have to decide how I'm going to do it on the page, but I'm not dealing with 150 pencils or 120 pencils or 200 something pencils if I've got all of my pencils out here. And I don't know, to me, it makes it even more exciting. I know when you hear people say, oh, it's fun to color, for those outside of the coloring book community, that might seem weird, but it's fun because it's sort of like, the best way that I can describe it is, if you've ever seen The Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland, where she's in Kansas, everything's in grays, and then she gets to Oz and all of a sudden it goes to Technicolor, where you see all these bright colors on the screen. That's how a coloring page is to me. It starts off with 2 colors, and then just by your own work and your effort, it sort of expands into something that you're like, this could have been done anyway by anyone, but this was done by me this way. And I love that. I find it just so both challenging and energizing, but also very soothing. But maybe that's just me. All right, guys. Well, I'd love to know what you guys think of the June completed pages. I hope you guys participate in my hashtag. I've yet to actually post anything on Instagram, but to me, it's just a way that we can all celebrate in our various communities together, but while giving a little bit of focus, because it is my birthday month. Yeah, no, I've said that like 4 times now. You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, that is it from me for now. And as always, aloha.